This gathering on May 27, 2026, was more than just a meeting. It was a direct response from neighbors in North Texas to three of the most pressing challenges we face: economics, food security, and mental health. The evening relied on a highly interactive format, using table discussions and a group share to ensure every voice was heard. That spirit of collaboration connects back to a broader historical vision. In 1964, Lyndon B. Johnson articulated a perspective on community, where shared values aren't just celebrated, they are the foundation for active progress. We saw those values in action during the event, as residents donated generously to the community garden kitchen. These funds directly support the three pillars of cultivation, education, and nourishment, proving that local action can have a tangible impact on our neighbors' lives. But as these local donations pour in, they are increasingly filling gaps that were once covered by the state. This generosity is becoming a heavy structural load, shifting from our government onto the shoulders of local volunteers and nonprofits. After 30 years of single-party leadership in Texas, we are living in a highly reactive environment. When state and federal policies reduce assistance for the most vulnerable, those costs don't vanish. They are simply pushed down the ladder until they land in communities like ours. This forces our neighborhoods into a constant state of damage control, bailing out a state government that has the resources to help but has consistently chosen to look the other way. The scale of this gap is visible in our first table topic, food security. This slide shows that right now, 1 in 6 of our neighbors across North Texas faces hunger every single day. New federal work rules are making this situation even more precarious. These changes threaten SNAP benefits for 800,000 Texans and move an $826 million annual cost directly onto our state's budget. Representative Keith Self has been a key driver of this shift. He voted to cut $1 trillion from Medicaid over a decade and supported moving those food assistance costs away from the federal government and onto local communities. Rep. Self has also pushed to end health insurance subsidies under the ACA. If those subsidies disappear, an estimated 430,000 Texans are projected to lose their coverage entirely. While our local charity gardens are a vital lifeline, they cannot grow enough food to compensate for a health and hunger crisis manufactured by systemic funding cuts in Washington. The second major discussion point was the massive access gap in adult mental health. This chart reveals that 28 million adults in America are currently receiving no treatment whatsoever. Our younger generation is being hit particularly hard. We are seeing 2.7 million youth nationwide experiencing severe major depression, often without the professional support they need. The tragedy in Texas is that the funds for care exist. Our leaders are currently holding a $24 billion state budget surplus, yet they have refused to develop a comprehensive plan to utilize it for mental health care. Leaving nearly 1 million uninsured children and thousands of veterans without support isn't a financial necessity, it's a direct consequence of broken political will. Finally, we addressed public education. As this graphic illustrates, strong public schools are the engines of our local economy, attracting families and preparing the innovative workforce that keeps Collin County competitive. But the state is starving these engines. Texas currently ranks 47th in the nation for per-pupil spending, forcing our local districts to constantly do more with much less than the national average. Despite this, Representative Candy Noble voted yes on a private school voucher system. This policy drains an estimated $1 billion from public schools in the next 2 years, a figure expected to balloon to nearly $8 billion by 2030. Siphoning our tax dollars into private schools with no state accountability directly undermines our public districts, threatening our property values and the quality of local education. While individual acts of charity bridge the gap for a moment, it is policy that determines the size of the gap. Addressing these issues at their root requires shifting from reactive community support to proactive political engagement. In 2026, that proactive choice is on the ballot. Evan Hunt is running for TX3 to provide the service-driven leadership necessary to replace Keith Self and prioritize families over funding cuts. Locally, Angie Caraway is running for HD 89 to restore funding to our public schools and ensure transparency in how our tax dollars are spent, offering an alternative that focuses on strengthening our community foundation. These highlighted words from LBJ's philosophy emphasize that our work is never finished. Civic participation isn't a single event. It is a challenge that must be constantly renewed by each generation. We can turn our compassion into a political force. By voting for accountable leadership, we can move away from just treating the symptoms of policy failure and start building a state government that actually serves its people. Review the candidate summary flyer at demclubhr.com. Join the Democratic Club at Heritage Ranch for $10 a year. Together, we can turn shared values into meaningful community change.